Okay, I'm going to continue on here with this Kenwood 5500 with the loudness modification to it. I utilized the low filter switch here, so we changed the subsonic filter switch to the bass boost switch, since the 5500 doesn't have that. Also too, I gave this a quick paint job. I know my lighting is pretty poor, but if it looks pretty decent, I wanted to keep it as close to the original Kenwood as I could. And I'm by no means a painter, but this turned out to be something from Krylon that was called Hammered Dark Bronze. I think it worked pretty well, and I just wanted to note that. So let me pause this a second, and we'll open this Kenwood up, and I'll show you the rest. Okay, we got this Kenwood 5500 open. That's what the inside of this one looks like. I've had this for about 2 years now. I thought it was interesting to note, excuse me, when I bought this, it was shipped to me in newspaper. So I interestingly had to go buy about a 3-pound hammer and take the whole entire chassis apart and straighten the chassis out on it. Kind of glad I did. It was worth it. So back to what we were saying, doing what I like to do, and that is talk. Sometimes I think that talking is better than doing stuff. Talking about doing stuff. So there's our little bass boost board, and I hope the lighting and the camera focus on it. So there's our 2 Panasonic PPS chips sitting there, and there's our 4 resistors across the back side of the board, and there's our 5 wires coming down from the volume control. Got 2 blues, 2 blues, 2 yellows, and a ground wire. So there's our 5 wires we talked about. There are some pads that you have to cut up here, which lead down onto the low filter switch, so you can isolate that switch, and you can kind of see the marks on the board there where I isolated the switch. I did originally just have these kludged across the back side of the board, but it wasn't very good, so I just recently redid it and just cut a chunk of FR4 board here, tiny piece that fit in there, and insulated it up and glued it on to the back of the board there, so it looks a little bit better. So that was the whole scope of this, how to get another 5 dB out of the bass, and that will definitely do it. I actually have to change these resistors today because this gives me over 9 dB with these values, which is too much. So I will be changing those values to what I had discussed in the earlier video, and after I change them, it's going to be pretty superb. Actually, it is right now, but it gets a little boomy because there's too much boost at 250 and 125. So changing those resistors will level the mid bass out and kick up the bottom a little bit more. So that's what it looks like. I hope this video is legible enough that you can see what I did. Like I said, obviously I can't step by step run a person through this, but I can give you all the pieces of the puzzle. And I just wanted to make a couple comments about this amp. This is only the second Kenwood amp I've ever owned. The other one was a 6100, and The good thing about this amp is it's built like a tank. That is definitely the biggest pro it has. It's just as solid as a rock, and it's got a little bit of weight to it. On the downside, it's a real pain to work on. So anybody considering a Kenwood 5500, I would say go for it if the price is right. But you know, it's just a fabulous amp. The sound stage on this amp is probably better than anything else I got sitting in my rack, which is a lot of Sansuis. And this Kenwood is just a tinge different. It's just really incredibly clear, and the sound stage is just phenomenal to it. Normally a sound stage isn't even a word that I use in a lot of amps, but it is in this one. So that's what it is. There's a lot of other things in this Kenwood I will be videoing here hopefully shortly. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you learned something.